Guitar Hero is a great franchise. Not because I like copyrighted music, but because I really think it's a good rhythm game. I think it's a genuinely fun rhythm game. Well, and I also like copyrighted music. So I wanted to go through all the Guitar Hero games I own. I own six. Starting off with the original, Guitar Hero 1 on PlayStation 2. This was a PlayStation 2 exclusive, and it's decent for a first run. I think there's a few issues with it. So, okay, the core gameplay's still great. Starting off from the beginning, it's still great. Still, the great rhythm gameplay using a plastic guitar. I think my main problems with it is the track list. I do not like the track list that much. There's only about 3 or 4 songs I really like from Guitar Hero 1. But that's just me. I mean, other people might have different tastes. Also, something else, all of the songs are covers. Now, that might be really noticeable to people. For me, at least, it's not that bad. A lot of them are pretty indistinguishable. I will say, actually, one song sounded better with the cover. I listened to the original song, and it didn't sound nearly as good. So, it's a good starter. But then, we have Guitar Hero 2, which fixed the tracklist problem that I was having. Guitar Hero 2 really was a lot better in terms of tracklist. I think there's like a ton of really great songs in here, really tailors to my personal, liking. Again, that's subjective, but I really do love it. And these are all still covers, but like I said, they're kind of indistinguishable. The only problem is Killer Queen is my favorite Queen song, and there is a cover of it in this, and it's just terrible. It's the only cover the only cover so far where I genuinely was like, oh my god, I can't listen to this. This sounds terrible. The singer just could not replicate Freddie Mercury's voice. Other than that, though, I mean, you can just skip that song if you want. It's a great game. Guitar Hero 2 is really good. There's a lot of good things to love about it. Now, these are the only 2 PlayStation 2 Guitar Hero games I have, and notice how I've never shown off the controller. I don't have the controller. Years ago, I used to. I used to have the controller years ago, and when I sold my PS2, I sold the controller until recently when I bought a PS2 back and got these 2 games back. It's actually really nice because the PS2, you can use the PS2 controller to play Guitar Hero. Green is L1, red is L2, blue is R1, or yellow is R1, and blue is R2. And it actually works really well with the PS2 controller. And X is orange. I will say, do not play Guitar Hero 2 and 3 on an Xbox 360 without the actual guitar, because it requires you to use the triggers, which just do not feel that good compared to the PlayStation 2's clicky buttons. Anyway, so next up are all my Wii games. These are all Wii games. And we've got Guitar Hero 3. So this improves on what Guitar Hero 2 was doing. It added a story mode, and I actually really like the story mode. It's a pretty neat one. And it gets kind of crazy near the end, which is it's cool. Guitar Hero just gets, it's pretty cool. Of course, Slash is in it, which is awesome. You get to duel him. There's some guitar here. There's some guitar duels, which are meh. Guitar duels in this game require you to use a bunch of wacky, like, power-ups and stuff, and it's more annoying than fun. Especially because near the end, if you haven't whittled down their health or their, awesomeness meter, they'll just win. Like by default, they will win. So it's kind of annoying. But I still think, you know what? The track list is pretty darn good in this. There's a lot of songs I like in this. More than Guitar Hero 2. The only problem is, they're still using covers. You'd think by the third game in the series, they'd kind of listen. Well, sorta. About 25% of the songs in this game are covers. And they're decent covers. I think the only one that really stuck out to me as bad was Paranoid. by Ozzy Osbourne. Weirdly enough, it sounds decent on its own, but if you listen to the original song, you'll notice that this cover is pitch shifted down. The guy singing just can't do a higher pitch voice, and it just sounds really strange. Everything else is great about the cover, except for that pitch. So again, if you've never listened to the original song, it's actually a good song. But if you've listened to the original and you like the original, it's really strange listening to it here. But, I mean, I guess, you kind of get used to it after a minute or two. Then again, the song's over by a minute or two. This is actually a really cool game. A lot of people consider this the best Guitar Hero game, and while I don't agree with that, I still say that it's a really, really fun Guitar Hero game. And has a lot of things going for it, especially the story mode. Story mode's fun. I like it. Next up is Guitar Hero Aerosmith. So this came out the exact same year. If you're noticing, so 2005, 2006, 2007, these were yearly. And this was both 2007, both the official sequel and a spin-off. Now, I like Guitar Hero Aerosmith, actually. I really do like it. They have interviews from all the band members, and it kind of goes through the band's history, and it's actually really cool. I mean, if you love the band, this is a great game to play. I mean, there's a lot of songs from Aerosmith, a lot of really good ones, a lot of, the obvious ones, and also some of the lesser-known ones. It goes through the band's history. It's got, like I said, it's got interviews, and the interviews are really cool. You get to talk to both, or not talk to. You see little clips of interviews from all of the band members, including the manager of the band. I guess you'd call it a manager or promotionist, something like that. And it's actually really, really fun. It's really cool. The only problem is, over 40 monster tracks, Aerosmith hits, and also featuring. Here's where a lot of people get upset with these Guitar Hero band name games, and I understand why. It is 2 non-Aerosmith songs, 3 Aerosmith. Repeat. 2 non, 3 Aerosmith, 2 non, 3 Aerosmith. And when you go into a game called Guitar Hero Aerosmith, you expect the entire thing to be Aerosmith songs. And especially the first 2 songs you play aren't Aerosmith songs. So I could see how a lot of people would get upset by that. But, take that factor aside, this is actually a really great game. So next we have Guitar Hero World Tour. Right? There's no disc. No, I do have it. Hold on. It's in my Wii right now. I'll get it out. I forgot. I was playing this earlier. Guitar Hero World Tour. So this game, by the way, okay, here's the disc. Yeah, you like the disc? Okay, I'm gonna put it back in because I'm gonna play it again later. Okay, so Guitar Hero World Tour came with this guitar. I actually have the guitar for it. Nice clicky buttons. Nice little analog stick. I think that's only on the Wii version. And it takes a step back from Guitar Hero 3. The story mode's gone, and instead replaced with just kind of a generic go from locale to locale situation, kind of like the original Guitar Hero games. And, it also has, notice that the guitar has this. This is a weird thing that only appears in Guitar Hero World Tour. These are motion-censored things. So you essentially tap on each one, and it actually both strums and clicks. Now, that sounds cool, and I guess it sort of is. The only problem is it barely functions. It will never work when it wants it to. It's always off. It's just useless. But it's a neat feature nonetheless to kind of have that be a part of the game. But yeah, it definitely takes a step back. But what I do like is the sense of freedom in what songs you can play. Guitar Hero Aerosmith, again, you have to play 2 songs, and then you have to play the three Aerosmith songs. With Guitar Hero 3, you're only allowed a choice of 3 songs, and you have to play 2 of them. Here, there is a wide variety of songs, and you have many choices on what you want to play or not. So here, there's multiple different venues, many different venues, and you can decide, okay, I want to go to that venue because that venue has songs I like in it. Okay, I want to go to that venue because that venue has songs I like in it. So it's got the choice of freedom, and I enjoy that. It's also got a character creator, one of the most basic character creators ever. Seriously, I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'll create my character. Oh, you can't change the face at all. You can't change the eyes. You can't change the mouth. It is one of the most basic character creators ever. All it is just clothing and guitar. That's all you do in changing the character, and you know, the hair to an extent. But nonetheless, it's a pretty good game, and I don't think it's on the level of Guitar Hero 3, but it's better than Guitar Hero 1, and you know what? I'd say better than Guitar Hero 2 as well. The track list is pretty decent on it. So there is Guitar Hero World Tour. And then finally, the last Guitar Hero game I have, Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, with that freaking guitar. So cool, I had to freaking put it up right next to my Doom poster. This game is just freaking awesome. For starters, it has a story mode, and it goes to the insanest lengths to make it as stupid as possible, but you have fun with the stupidity. It's like a rock god gets sealed by a rock beast and seals a rock god, so you have to find the ancient guitar to release the god from his prison so he could fight this giant beast with the power of rock and roll. It's so stupid and so insane that you just have to you just have to start having fun with it. And that's the whole point of this game. That's what's so fun about it. The story mode is so stupid that you just start having fun with it. And that's the whole point. They want you to have fun with it. Not only that, the track list is fantastic. I mean, over 90 songs in the entire game, and this track list is great. I mean, just looking at here. Come on, focus. I can't see if you're not going to focus. Focus! Come on. There you go. Avenged, Black County, Children of the Grave, Pour Some Sugar on Me, No Way Back, Love Gun, Paranoid Live. Hey, it's funny. No Guitar Hero song is the same per game. All of them are different. But they technically got away with this one because it's the live variant of Paranoid, so we finally have a good version of Paranoid. I do want to mention, I never actually mentioned this, starting with Guitar Hero World Tour, all covers were gone. There were no more covers. They finally realized that people actually liked the official songs and didn't like the covers. So starting with World Tour, all covers were gone, and these are all the official recordings, which, thank God. But seriously, the track list is absolutely fantastic on this. The story mode is corny and cheesy in the best of ways. And this is by far my favorite Guitar Hero game. But sadly, it's the 6th Guitar Hero game, released in 2010, and by this point, people were done with the Guitar Hero. Too many games have been released up to that point, and we wouldn't see another game until 2015 with Guitar Hero Live, which I'll get onto that in a second. Currently, you got Guitar Hero, Guitar Hero 1, Guitar Hero 2, Guitar Hero 3, this is technically Guitar Hero 4, and then there's a game called Guitar Hero 5, which I don't own, but I used to own, and then Guitar Hero 6. And definitely by that point, these games have become too yearly, and people weren't buying them anymore, and this was the last one, which sucked because they put so much effort into this. You could tell the designers were just having, the time of their lives developing this. And sadly, it was just all gone, it was all gone to waste. This was the last Guitar Hero game until Guitar Hero Live. Now, before I end this video off, I do want to mention, I used to have a lot more Guitar Hero games, and then I started selling some of them off, because I have 6 Guitar Hero games. That's a lot. So I want to mention, here's the honorable mentions. I don't have these games, but I definitely do remember them. Guitar Hero Rocks the 80s was a PS2 game that was kind of a stopgap between Guitar Hero 2 and 3. It had a decent soundtrack from what I remember, but nothing to write home about. It only got released on PS2, nothing else. And I think it released in 2006. Yeah, it released after Guitar Hero 2. I used to have a game called Band Hero, which was a spin-off released in 2009, the exact same year Guitar Hero 5 came out. And it, the best way to describe it, its soundtrack appealed more to the teen demographic. There wasn't a lot of classic hits in it. There was just a lot more recent songs, and some I enjoy, but the soundtrack wasn't really for me. I did have Guitar Hero 5 as well, and it was, again, the soundtrack was just extremely meh. I don't remember anything from the soundtrack from Guitar Hero 5. The biggest thing I remember from it is Guitar Hero World Tour, starting with Guitar Hero 3, you had guest appearance characters. So like I mentioned, Guitar Hero 3 had Slash, and then of course Guitar Hero Aerosmith has the entire band of Aerosmith. And, World Tour introduced Zakk Wylde, which was great, and Ozzy Osbourne, which was also great. Guitar Hero 5 had cameo appearances as well, and one of them it still sticks in my mind because I'm kind of disturbed by it, is Kurt Cobain. Now, okay, he's a prominent figure. He was a prominent figure in music. The only problem is the game acts as if he's still alive and you can play as him. And I don't mean like, oh, well, the game's set, 30 years ago, the game's set like, 25 years ago. No, it's set in current day and you can play as Kurt Cobain. And ever since I played it, I'm like, I don't know, it just feels kind of strange to me. Like, no, don't do that. It's just like, you can have a Nirvana song, you can have 3 or 4, that's fine, but don't act like he's still alive. It was just a very strange decision. And then I also had Guitar Hero Van Halen, which I hated, mainly because I'm not a Van Halen fan, which makes you wonder why I bought it. It was $1. That's why I bought it. And I hated it. I'm not a Van Halen fan. I never really got into their music. There's only 1 or 2 songs that I can even think of. I hated it. And definitely compared to Aerosmith, Van Halen really felt like a rush job that was just meant to get out the door and get it out there, because while you did get to play as the band, there were no interviews with the band. The ending was just cheap as hell. I mean, seriously, the ending was so cheap. The ending to this, you get to go to the Rock Hall of Fame, you got all these interviews, it ends with like a star-studded performance. Van Halen just ends very abruptly and boringly. It's obvious this was the first spin-off game they made, and it was obvious that they put their heart and soul into this, and then by the time Van Halen came out, they just didn't care. It's such a terrible game of Van Halen. And finally, I had Guitar Hero Live, and I had it on the 360, which was awesome because I got the 360 guitar, which meant I could play other Guitar Hero games with that guitar, which means I got to play Rock Band for the first time with that guitar. It was great. Sadly, I sold my 360, and there went the guitar. Guitar Hero Live was definitely the strangest out of all of them. They really tried something different with it, and I applaud them for that. The only problem is the track list was just bad. It was just a bad track list. It even started recycling songs from older games. I remember Paint It Black was in it by, is it the Rolling Stones? I think it's the Rolling Stones. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if it's not the Rolling Stones. But they had Paint It Black in there, which was already in Guitar Hero 3. They just, they started recycling some songs. They had freaking Bangarang on it. Is it Skrillex that made it, I think? The dubstep song, and I'm like, why? There's like no guitar in that song. Why have it here? They did it because dubstep was popular in 2015. They didn't do it because it matched. It was such a mishmash of concepts. And, I mean, again, I applaud the idea for having a live band, having a live band and a live crowd, and having the crowd react to how good or how poor you're doing. I actually think that's a cool idea. But it's just, aside from that, there's like nothing to that game. The guitar was frustrating. The guitar tried to go for a more realistic approach. Instead of having these 5 colorful buttons, it had 6 buttons that were all the same color, 3 right here and 3 right here. And what you do is you would move to here, then move to here, then move to here, then move to here, or press both of these down at the exact same time. And it just hurts your fingers, man. It just hurts. You know, I mean, it's not good. I never want to buy Guitar Hero Live again. I don't. It's I will give it this though. Playing the earlier Guitar Hero games with the Guitar Hero Live controller, I got really used to it. Because with the Guitar Hero Live controller, green, red, yellow, and then blue is right here, and I surprisingly got I got fairly used to actually pressing this. But trying to press like multiple keys both here and here at once, like it asks you to do. And it's also difficult because, again, they're not color-coded. So in Guitar Hero Live, it would tell you, it would, like, the tiny icon that would fly down would have a little white bubble and a black bubble. And the black ones were right here, and the white ones were right here. The only problem is, it was really hard to tell because of how tiny those were. It's so obvious here with how color-coded these are and how they fly down the screen. But when they're flying down the screen and there's only a tiny little indication that they're actually color-coded, both in the game and the controller, it just doesn't work. So, there you go. That's my thoughts on the entire Guitar Hero franchise. Started off okay, got extremely good, and then... Or wait, no, sorry. Gotta put these in order. You know, started out okay, got really, really good. These 4, I'd say, are really, really good games, and then just fell off the map. So, there you go. That is it. Goodbye.